We're live, according to that.
If I could get your attention, please. I'd like to welcome everybody to the May 9th meeting of the Johnson City Regional Planning Commission. If you're here to speak during one of the public comment sessions, please wait for me to open the floor for public comment. Then I'll have you come one at a time to the podium, give us your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, and please, if you can, don't be so repetitive with people that have come before you, and address your comments only to the Planning Commission, not to the audience and not to staff. So at now 2 minutes after 6, I'll call the meeting to order. Our first item of business is an invocation and a pledge of allegiance to be led by Vice Mayor Aaron Murphy.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for the opportunity that we can gather to conduct the affairs of this great city we call Johnson City. Lord, we pray that you lead and guide us in our decision-making, our conversations, and all that follows. In Jesus' name, amen. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have before us our agenda for tonight's meeting. Does anyone have any questions, changes, or rearrangements to request? If not, I'm here for a motion. Move for approval.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Chairman, do you want to just acknowledge to the audience that Brook Hollow's not on the agenda tonight? Just to
Yes, I
confirm?
think perhaps you probably saw the notice that was posted on the front door and at the back of the room that we will not be discussing the Brook Hollow Cherokee Drive. I think it's called the, I can't remember the name of the tract, but we won't be having that on our agenda. That's been remanded back to staff for additional work by staff before it comes before us again. I apologize if there's been any misunderstanding. Thank you, Commissioner Whitfield. All right, we have before us also the minutes from the April 11th meeting of the Planning Commission. Does anyone have any changes or corrections they'd like to submit before we consider their approval?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, we have one item on the consent agenda, and that's a bond release for the cottages at Greenwood Phase 2B. Does anybody want to pull that for discussion?
I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, for our first item of new business, we have presented to us a text amendment change for Washington County zoning. This is an item for us to give consideration and recommendation to the County Commission on this question. Mr. Ryder.
Good evening, Chairman Dagenhart, Vice Chairman Oceanbine, Commissioners, Vice Mayor Murphy. The TCA requires that, since we're a regional planning commission, that any amendments to the Washington zoning resolution, whether it be a map amendment, like through a rezoning, or a text amendment, that it has to come to the regional planning commission for consideration for a recommendation to be forwarded on to the Washington County Board of Commissioners. Planning Director Angie Charles submitted to our office a text revision to amend Article 5 of the county zoning resolution dealing with concept plan requirements for rezonings, and they are removing these regulations within Article 5 as depicted on the slides and in your handout.
Any questions for staff about this change at the county level? And understand that this is a recommendation we would be making for or against the county commission.
Two sentence impact
On this
on this change.
Rezonings for counties, or rezoning requests for the county will not require concept plans or site plans that would have to be approved by the planning commission. They still have site plans required for building permit applications.
And this was the request of the commission, or?
This
of
is the
planning?
request of county staff,
County
Washington County staff.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Ryder, was this them conforming with kind of the rest of the state counties?
Tennessee is a Dillon's rule state, which means that we only have the powers that are expressly stated within TCA, which is silent on concept plans. Johnson City is a home rule city under a charter that's protected by the state. So it's their legal opinion that since concept plan requirements are not expressly stated in TCA, that they should remove them.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
Do we need a public?
Oh, we do need a public hearing, do we not?
Yes.
I'll open the floor for a public hearing. I apologize to the public. Anyone here to speak to the question? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Now, discussion amongst us.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the text amendments as presented by staff.
Second.
I think the question is not to approve, but to recommend.
To recommend approval as
Yes.
presented by staff.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you for the clarification.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Nicole, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge.
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Lockmiller.
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodey.
Yes.
Commissioner Whitfield.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Oceanbine.
Yes.
Chairman Dagenhart.
Yes.
Motion to recommend approval has carried.
All right, thank you very much. I think we'll go on now to our second item on the agenda, amendments to Article 3 and 4 of the zoning code related to overlay standards. Ms. Rogers, if you would.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Text amendments to the overlay districts. So the city has 5 overlay districts. They all have the intent of improving the aesthetics of the protected corridors over time as redevelopment occurs and new development. Some of them don't need any changes, like University Parkway, there wasn't anything in there that was a flag. And then Highway Vista is a district that isn't applied anywhere, and that's a conversation for a later date. But the 3 that we have proposed text changes to are Design, Gateway, and Corridor, and they're presented out of order, number-wise, because they're in order complexity of change-wise. So Design Overlay has the most restrictions and is the one that we did the most work on. So I'll focus on that one. And then the other changes are provided in your packets, and they're corollary to the changes that are applicable to the design overlay. So the reason we're making changes is for compliance with state law, to provide some relief from the strict material requirements. We want to add an exemption provision. We want the text to be consistent, accurate, and user-friendly, and we also found a loophole that we could close by making an amendment. These are a couple of the state code-related changes, definition change, and then the state recently passed a non-discriminatory rule for construction materials and methods, which we wanted to go ahead and clean up with this by taking away the discriminatory language and adding in something that's non-discriminatory. So like I said, we're going to focus on design overlay. The current material standards require a minimum 75% clay, brick, or stone, a maximum of 20% stucco and some other specified concrete materials, and then 5% a couple other materials. So again, why we want to change the material requirements, obviously there's the non-discriminatory law, but also we want to provide better customer service. We've received complaints or concerns have been raised by developers, and we want to respond to those in a responsible way. We also want to consider cost, and to provide a little bit of relief to the cost of materials would encourage redevelopment and further the intents of these layers. We also want to keep up with technology and innovation. New materials are being discovered, and if they are durable and they could be used to maybe just keep us in the current instead of, we don't want to lag behind as a city. And then I just really want to make the point that durability is the key to aesthetics. Aesthetics are very subjective. We just want to avoid the heavy focus on the two materials, because the more visual diversity you have, the more likelihood you have of somebody finding something aesthetically pleasing in the corridor. So again, we're going to add split face block to the primary materials. And we're also going to reduce the minimum requirement from 75 to 67. So there's just a little bit less of those more complicated materials. And then we're going to add alternate primary materials for 1- and 2-story buildings. And it will be a maximum of 67% of engineered wood, fiber cement, and manufactured stone veneer with a special inspection. And that is because these are semi-durable materials, and the special inspection is to ensure longevity of the quality of the material. And then for buildings with 3 or more stories, we have another set of alternate primary materials. It's actually only one material. And it's a maximum of 67% EFIS on the second and higher floors. And the regular primary materials, being brick, stone, or split face block, will have to be used on the first floor. And the reason for that is because the first floor is the most likely to be damaged by cars and people bumping into it and things of that nature. So for the secondary materials, we are going to add metal, engineered wood, and wood. We're going to increase the maximum from 20% to 33%. And if there are any alternate secondary materials proposed, then that would come to your commission for approval. And that was a discussion that came out of the informational meeting and then a subsequent focus meeting that we had. And this is just to show the way that it's going to be organized in the design overlay building facades, because there got to be very many materials involved, and just to make it easier to look at and review and understand what it is that you're concerned with or looking for. So we just organized it as easy to use as we could. And then regarding that provision for exemption, development that can't be seen from the road, the building shouldn't have to comply with those material requirements. So, but there will have to be evidence in the form of visual elevation drawings that show that you can't see the site. And staff recommends approval, and you have your regular decision options to recommend approval, recommend denial, or refer the action. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. All right, any questions for staff? Mr. Cooper?
Is there any concern about the materials that we're allowing on the first floor as far as the quality of the material? You know, a metal product might very well be thin or thick or in between.
So the metals that are allowed have to be 10 gauge, and that's a substantial metal. It's a durable material.
Okay, so we do address that also.
Yeah, it's minimum 10 gauge. Regular metal siding is around 27, 29 gauge, so it's a lot thinner. But
And-
10 gauge it's heavy duty and durable.
And none of the other materials that we allow on the first floor have that kind of flexibility.
So the regular primary materials are all durable materials. Regular primary materials. A person or a developer can ask for an alternate primary material, but they also have to provide a special inspection to ensure that it has been installed properly, because correct installation of these materials is key to their durability.
So for clarification, is that an inspection that the city will undertake, or is that an inspection the developer or the builder will undertake, and then they'll certify to the city that that's passed that inspection?
The builder would be required to hire a third-party independent special inspector to conduct the inspection.
So after that inspection is complete, what is the next step? Is there a next step after the inspection is complete? Do they turn in paperwork to you?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
gotcha.
sorry. There's a whole protocol laid out, and I'm gonna apologize, I don't remember what, what the organization or the
Page
standard was
6, I
called.
think, is where it starts, maybe.
Ms. Rogers, if I'm not
Oh, wait a
correct,
minute.
we
No,
discussed this
no,
in one of our
wrong-
breakout
wrong
sessions, and
people.
you said there's already a process in place where
Yes,
developers
there is
do
an
this.
existing process, and I'll get to it. The special inspection shall comply with the requirements of the International Building Code and the guidance of the Tennessee Structural Engineers Association. So this is existing material inspections that are required for other materials.
Other questions for staff?
I just have one question. Can you, I don't think you mentioned it, the loophole that we're closing with this?
Yes. I don't think that I put a slide in here, but it's in your packet, and it is actually the first page of the draft text amendments. And the amendment is to section 3.5 regarding non-conforming structures. And before, there was a loophole that would allow a developer to demolish an existing non-conforming structure and reconstruct it, still non-conforming. So this closed that loophole, and if you plan a demolition of a structure, you have to comply with the facades. You can't knock down a building with the intent of replacing it with something and then not comply.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Ms. Rogers, very much for that great presentation. Thanks for leading us on our workshops that we've been doing behind closed doors to get us to this point. Very well done. Okay, I'm going to open the floor for public comment. Does anyone have anything to speak to regarding this proposal to adjust our overlays? Seeing none, I'll close the floor for public comment. And then the question now is for us.
This proposed amendment change does provide builders some cost alleviation. There's a lot of expensive materials out there, and it costs a lot to build today. And so to have these changes presented to us today helps builders out a lot. And I appreciate the work of the staff and putting this all together to bring to us today for the possibility of approval.
I'd like to echo that. I think it's got great potential to increase the continued growth of Johnson City and the aesthetic nature of Johnson City being maintained and improved over time. If the standards are so tight that we don't ever make any changes, we don't add anything, we don't get better. So I think this is a step in the right direction. Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? The motion is to accept this text amendment to Article 3 and Article 6 of the zoning code. Is that correct? Thank you. All right, Nicole, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Lockmiller?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodey?
Yes.
Commissioner Whitfield?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Oshenbein?
Yes.
Chairman Dagenhart?
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Good news. Thank you very much. And now, item number 3, we have a right-of-way abandonment. along South Roan Street near its intersection of East Highland Road. Ms. Boren, I guess this must be yours. We've seen this how many times?
Yes, good evening. I know that Will typically does abandonments of right-of-ways, so this is going to be my first one that I've ever processed, which seems fitting that it is also kind of tied to that first rezoning that I ever did that lasted a whole entire year. So with that, it is a request to abandon this triangular portion of right-of-way along South Roan Street. So this is its intersection with East Highland, so this will be where that new road is going. So I reached out to various departments and agencies, both internal and external, and there were no concerns over the abandonment and no existing utilities inside of that triangular area. You can see right here that this is the portion that's going to be abandoned, and then it looks like we are gaining this portion of right-of-way. And so that's going to be used to help with the East Highland and South Roan intersection. So staff is recommending approval of the abandonment of the right-of-way, and I know that Wallace was saying that he has an extra image to show you guys if you guys are curious about what that road is going to look like and what's going on there.
Yes, if he could come forward.
Ms. Bourne, maybe while he's pulling that up, I guess just curious why we're moving it. What's the purpose of moving the abandoned right-of-way?
The sight distance is really bad if you're
Okay.
coming out the existing Highland Avenue. And so when we move the road to the top of the hill,
Right.
and it alters it completely, so that you can see both directions without, worrying about a car hitting you.
Okay. So we're just clearing it from brush and debris, so the sight distance is greater?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Have we already done an abandonment for the section where the road currently is, or is there going to be another one? Because Highland
There
comes out.
there will be another one,
Okay.
yes. So the piece that we're abandoning is right here. And we're gaining this bit down here, which adds, it lengthens, gives us a longer left turn lane to go into that road. And so, again, what the problem is down here, you've got the hill up here that you can't
Can you
see.
please speak into the mic?
Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
So you can't see, if you're down here, you can't see over the hill towards the south. I don't know if y'all have driven through there much. Okay, so everybody's nodding their heads. So this changes it completely. You can see both directions. And the point of this over here, the abandonment again, is to clean up that right of way, to give this to him, and he's giving this to us to allow to lengthen that turn lane and move the sidewalk over. It's a real win-win for both of us, really.
So this is a big safety improvement
Yes,
for the community. And this is the mechanical thing that is necessary to make it possible.
Yes, that's correct. And this guy's been real cooperative, didn't ask for anything, and the exchange was good with him. He was just trying to help.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Any questions for staff?
And the sidewalk, the existing sidewalk in the section that's being abandoned, that will remain in place?
So, right here?
No, sorry, to your right, to the right. There we go, that section. That section of sidewalk.
Property line, the sidewalk's still on the right of way.
Okay, so we're gonna, you talking about this sidewalk?
Yes, because that's
Yes.
part of what's being abandoned, right?
Well, yeah, the new right-of-way line is just behind the
Oh,
sidewalk.
okay, so it will.
Yeah, and so we're also, because we're doing this, we're adding sidewalk down here. So the sidewalk will be continuous
That's
through
what I
there.
was worried about.
And then we're adding sidewalk also down through here and around, and we're gonna carry it down somewhere right in through here. And then they will continue it down that way. So we are putting more sidewalk in there as well.
Thank you, Wallace.
Sure.
Thank you very much. I'll open the floor for public comment. Does anyone have any questions or statements or positions they want to state around this question of right-of-way? Seeing none, I'll close the floor. Discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve the abandonment of the right-of-way.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I'd just like to say, Peyton, even though this took us over a year, it really has worked out much better than what, I mean, even the beginning. This is so much better, so thank you for hanging in there and helping us to hang in there.
And thank you also for Public Works for being creative and developing this plan. It's a great plan, and I drove through there yesterday, and it's a huge improvement. Nicole, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Lockmiller?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodey?
Yes.
Commissioner Whitfield?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Oceanbine?
Yes.
Chairman Dagenhart?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
All right, Ms. Moore, I think I'm going to read between the lines that you're going to continue with our next item. This is a control strip relinquishment.
All right, Commissioners, in front of you, I have a request for permission to cross a control strip located at the end of Traders Walk. So you can see right here, this is the road, Traders Walk, with these existing homes. And so the applicant requests permission to cross the control strip that's located right here at the end of the road. There are plans to build just a single-family house over here where the star is. So you can see on this plat right here, when you're coming up Traders Walk, they'll construct a driveway leading up to that home right there. But in order to do that, they need to have permission to cross the control strip. So with that, staff is recommending approval. You can see right here, this is where that control strip is located. And as you follow it up here, the house and will be built on this site right here.
All right, any questions for staff? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
I have a question. I'm new. This
Okay.
is my first control strip. Could you clarify
Me
for me a
too.
little bit more what that is?
You know, that's actually a great question. So with the whole control strip, I don't know how they get placed. Maybe Will can answer that. But I know that they have to have permission to be crossed.
Thanks, good job, Peyton. This was her first control strip. This was her first control strip, and I asked her to handle this one halfway through, and I think she did a really good job. But the subdivision regulations, at the end of any street stub, the subdivision regulations, if you're developing a street, require a 5-foot control strip that you have to seek permission to cross. And the reason you do that is to ensure that you have a connection that's built to a city standard, whether it's a continuing road, or in this case, a driveway that will require a permit through engineering with a proper curb cut and that sort of thing. And it's required by the subdivision regulations. So to establish the control strips and to seek permission from the planning commission to get approval to cross the control strip. And it's a function of the subdivision regulation, so planning commission has the final say on it.
Thank you, Ms. Lockmiller. Any other questions for staff? All right, I'm going to open the floor. Is anyone here to speak to the question? We're batting 0 so far, so I'm going to close the floor for public comment. Okay, any conversation or questions amongst us?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, please go ahead.
Motion to approve the control strip access as presented by staff.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Nicole, please call the roll.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Lockmiller?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodey? Commissioner Whitfield?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Oceanbine?
Yes.
Chairman Dagenhart?
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Now we have an annexation question. Ms. Voren, I think you're still up.
All right, now we're in my wheelhouse. So in front of you guys, I have the Plan of Services and Zoning Assignment Review associated with the voluntary annexation of approximately 42 acres located at 997 Carroll Creek Road. So just to remind you guys of the annexation timeline, this has already been before City Commission for a request to proceed, and that was approved. So now it's in front of you all tonight, and if approved, it will still have to go in front of City Commission essentially 3 times. So the property in question is this hashed area right here. Again, it's approximately 42 acres. 6 acres of this parcel is actually already in the city limits. So its county city line is right here, but the property line is actually this piece right here. So this long, narrow yellow strip is a part of the parcel, but already presently in city limits. And I have another picture on a couple slides forward that kind of better illustrates that. But yeah, so the 6 acres is already in the city, and so they're requesting annexation of these other 42 acres that are a part of the parcel. The annexation corresponds with the plan of services that's in your packet, and the applicant is seeking a zoning assignment of R2B. Now, R2B is the zoning on the part of the parcel that is currently in the city limits. So this outer 6 acres is presently zoned R2B, so that zoning would match up. These are all of the departments that review the plan of services. Again, that's in your packet. I'm happy to answer any questions on the plan of services that you may have. The request for R2B, and this is just a general idea of what the applicant is intending to do. The site plan doesn't meet open space standards, and it's still being actively worked out. But just to give you all an idea, they are planning to do a single-family subdivision. And so, again, this area right here is already presently in the city limits. As you can see, this is not actually the whole portion of the parcel that is being considered for annexation. So the plan that the applicant has submitted actually stops about right here. And this north portion of the parcel, the applicant intends to sell to the church adjacent to the north. So this church right here is planning on buying this larger tract. As you can see, if you subdivided this land off, it would be landlocked. So if that sale happens and the church does end up buying that, they would have to come in to get a replat so that that lot frontage is combined so that they'll have frontage via the church. And again, you can kind of tell this is a little bit better of an illustration, but this area right here that's not grayed out is presently in the city limits. And this blue line is the property line. It's currently zoned agricultural in the county, except for this very little corner piece that is zoned commercially. But these are just a couple by right uses that they have the right to develop presently in the county as is. And staff recommends approval. This area is actually specifically called out in the bridge plan for being recommended for annexation. You can see it's got this orange color and it's this number 7 right here. And also the bridge plan says to encourage a variety of housing developments and opportunities. So with that, I can answer any questions that you all may have.
I did have one question. Can you go back to the concept plan that's non-binding? I just wanted to ask about, there's a stub connection partway out the driveway. Is there a street that exists on the neighboring property that's inferring it would connect to?
Yes, this is an existing stub into the neighboring development.
Okay, so that could potentially be a second point of entrance into the community.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Other questions for staff?
Great presentation. Yeah.
Thank you.
So the question at hand is the question of annexation and a zoning assignment.
Yes, all of
That's
one,
the
the
question.
plan of services and the zoning assignment, and you guys can use one motion to
Okay.
act on that. But you do have to open the public hearing, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, what
Yeah.
is the street that would stub into? I'm looking at the map
Burlington, I
and I don't
believe.
really.
Bellington Drive.
Bellington, yeah,
Oh, does
Bellington Drive.
Bellington go all the way through?
Yeah.
Okay, I
It
see
does.
that now.
Any other questions for staff?
Thank you for the pro forma.
Thank you very much. I'll open the floor for public comment. Is anyone here to speak to the question? Please come forward to the microphone, give us your name and address.
Hi, my name is David Crockett, and that really is my name.
If you could pull the mic up to you maybe just a little bit,
There we
thank you.
go. I'm the HOA president at Chadwick Commons, which sits right on the edge here. If you go to the top of Julie Lane, we are the subdivisions that's tucked away there. Down below is Fountain of Life Bible Church, you may know where that is, and to the right-hand side as you go up the hill are the townhomes that Greg Fellers has built. So in the last 5 years, we have seen a significant amount of residential development, whether it be townhouses or homes. My concern with this is, I know that you're going to approve this without losing a bit of sleep, but my question is, you're adding a lot of residential here. And Carroll Creek Road is not capable of handling the traffic that it's getting day after day. When I leave my subdivision to go to work, I have to wait for a string of 20 cars to pass coming from Lake Ridge to get out. And this is going to make that even more troublesome. If you go to the right towards Wing Deer Park, you're right there in that 90-degree curve. There's just way too much traffic there. So my question to you is, with the things that are, the services and whatnot that are going to be provided, do those include widening the street or adding sidewalks? There are no sidewalks on Carroll Creek Road. If I wanted to walk down the street, I couldn't do that without getting run over by a car. There are people that walk from Inglewood to Walgreens and they don't have a sidewalk to walk on. So my concern is, if you're going to rezone this and approve the annexation, that's fine, but my question is what are you doing with the city infrastructure so that it's can handle the traffic and is somewhat safe, at least for people that are walking, other pedestrians and whatnot?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak? All right, I'm going to close the floor for public comment. All right, let's discuss this amongst ourselves. Questions or comments?
Chairman, could we give staff an opportunity to?
Yes, I was going to ask Mr. Ryder or Public Works to speak to the question of improvement to Carroll Creek. I believe that's on the books, but I don't know a thing about its schedule or timing.
Lawrence Perry with Public Works. Yeah, we have a plan for a 3-lane from Carroll Creek along there. It starts almost at the intersection, just shy of the intersection, up there with North Roan. It goes on down past this area right here. And once they get the construction plans in, which they're in right now, we're taking a look at them, reviewing. We'll be asking for donation of a little bit of right-of-way to be able to complete those plans. So, but for now, I'm not sure where it lines up with the city manager's plans for, all future road projects and things like that, but we can get some input from them as well. But the plans were created back in 1998, so we're prepared for that. Yeah.
1998?
Yep. It's
Okay.
a few years old. So.
How long would that third lane adjustment extend out Carroll Creek? How far out would it go? Do you have a sense of that?
We just looked at the plans the other day, and I'm not sure how far down towards Wing Deer Park. It may go, it sounds like it might go the whole way.
Oh,
But-
so it's
but-
extensive.
Yeah,
It's
but
extended.
at the intersection with North Rome, it kind of stops shy there. There's a little bit of room. We've looked at maybe widening that intersection a little bit, but it involved a retaining wall, so that might be something else for the future, but it's not associated with the 98 project.
And that change would include provisions for sidewalks, would that be
Yes,
correct?
yes, sidewalks would be included in that.
Okay, thank you very much. Sure.
One other question, is that project funded?
No, that's the thing. That's where the city manager would make priorities and figure out, with projects like this coming online, is that something where we need to send our resources and maybe put that out for bid, so.
I think to kind of maybe address some of the concerns of the community here. It sounds like we've anticipated having a lot of development in this area for 2 decades.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise. We've actually have the infrastructure plans to improve it.
Right.
As we wait for this to happen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That's some consolation. Total consolation.
Yeah.
considering it's been since 1998 that it's been on the books.
Yeah, call your commissioner.
Not your planning commissioner, though.
No, excuse me. That commissioner.
All right, further questions or conversation amongst us?
So we really don't have any time scheduled for the improvement to the road.
I think
It's
the
just
question is, we
not
don't know where it stands in the current budget plan. It will have to be budgeted. It's currently not funded, so it's gonna have to be funded through a budget adjustment going into forward. I would think if we're going into budget season right now, I think.
Yes, sir. We're currently going through budget workshops. We are looking to approve our upcoming budget soon. But just for the sake of information to the public, there is a growth study plan that's underway, and we hope to get that out to the community. And things like this are included in the growth study plan. So they'll be looking ahead years in advance and putting plans to make sure that infrastructure problematic areas are addressed.
And Commissioner Rena, yeah, we may not have the road right now to support this, but it could still be developed, no matter what we do here tonight. Just because, if we don't take it from the county, annex it from the county, it can still be developed tomorrow in the county right now. And I'm not sure the density they could put on it, but they could probably do something pretty darn similar, if not more intense. So I don't think that approving this is necessarily going to mandate that traffic gets worse based on what the county could do.
So it's gonna get worse before it gets better. Is that what you're saying, Ben?
Well, I just wanted to point out that traffic studies cannot be conducted out there specifically for this property until the property's annexed, zoning assigned, and we receive a preliminary plat that accurately depicts exactly what's going to be built out there. When we receive the preliminary plat, you enter the development phase. The developer will be required to do traffic studies. Those traffic studies may or may not warrant improvements to those roads, and then that will determine the priority, I suppose, with the city manager on which projects get funded. It really is, as all of you know, it's an issue of land use. Is it appropriate, and do we want to, and the city commission will have to decide if we want to annex it. But all those traffic studies will come. They just can't be done now because it's not an accurate depiction necessarily. It's a concept, but we'll know for sure when we get the preliminary plat. What you do know is what the zoning district allows and the number of lots that you could get in there.
Thank you, Mr. Ryder.
Looking at it, when I'm looking at annexations, I'm always looking at one, does this feel right with the community? You guys can see the maps. There's already a lot of R2B already out there, and as Mr. Crockett illustrated, if you go up Julie Lane, there's already a lot of townhomes presently there. So there's already R2B there. And the second question I always ask myself is this what's best for the city? And so that's why I really appreciate Ms. Warren including the pro forma. So you can look at what it's going to cost us to annex this lot and the tap fees and everything else, and then what we're going to recoup taxes-wise. And I think the answer to both of those for me is I think this is appropriate for the neighborhood, for the community as it stands now. And I think it does benefit the city financially in the long run, not just the short term.
Other comments?
I would like to speak to the public and also Mr. Crockett. I mean, we do hear your concern about infrastructure, and that is a hot topic. Smart growth is the best growth, and we're a hot area. Everybody wants to come to our region. We have a huge shortage when it comes to all types of housing, and we don't have the perfect answers to how to address that. However, we understand that there is a huge infrastructure issue on our hands, and I do want to say that City Commission and staff are working diligently to accommodate all those concerns.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the voluntary annexation on 997 Carroll Creek Road, 42 acres, as well as the plan of services and the zoning assignment R2B.
All right, I have a motion,
Second.
and I have a second. All right, any further discussion? Ms. Nicole, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Lockmiller?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodey?
Yes.
Commissioner Whitfield?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Oceanbine?
Yes.
Chairman Dagenhart?
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Commissioner Whitfield suggested I remind the audience that this goes before the city commission for 3 readings. So I think if I'm guessed correctly, what date will it come up first at the city commission? That will be its next city commission meeting?
Yes, so it will go before the city commission on June 1st, June 15th, and July 6th, with July 6th being the public hearing.
So July 6th will be the next time it's open for public hearing, but
The
it will
next
be
time it's open for
presented-
public
That will be
hearing.
the 3rd time it's in front of the city commission.
Correct, correct. So if you're following along with this item, it'll go before the city commission June 1st, June 15th, and July 6th, with July 6th being the opportunity for public comment.
So I would suggest that anyone has concerns that have been expressed tonight, feel free to go to the city commission and express those concerns again. You will have an impact.
You can also send emails.
Vice Mayor Murphy just said you're welcome to also make phone calls and send emails to the city commission. So I encourage you to do that. Any other business to come before us? All right, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
Holy smokes.
Chris, you did good.
Almost a record.